BBN Jack Fruits. What's up, party people? How is everybody doing? I'm hoping everybody's having a beautiful day. We got some stuff to talk about, sis. So, I am, for anybody who has never been to this page before and you don't understand how this works over here. So, basically, I say a thing, and as expected, I usually have people that come out the contrary telling me about how wrong I am. So, eventually, when I turn out to be right, I then let everybody know about it. So the first thing I want to do is show y'all this videos. And then we're going to talk about the Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion situation.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Ms. Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense?
Shout out to Hip Hop, whatever page that is. I don't know what page that is, but shout out to those guys. Hip Hop Focus. They're the ones that I got this from. Shout out to them. Salute to them. So, all right. So, we're going to say a couple of things real quick. And I want to preference this. This is a lot bigger and a lot deeper than people understand. And this is why when I'm having these political conversations and I'm talking about certain things, I don't mention other things because I don't want to create confusion. So I need for y'all to understand what just happened. And then I'm going to discuss the Tory Lanez situation. But we need to, a couple of things just happened. The first thing was this. The Super Bowl halftime failed. And not only did the Super Bowl halftime fail, that's my Keurig. Not only did the Super Bowl halftime fail, but the FCC is actually looking in to bringing up some kind of fines or whatever against the NFL because of the songs that Bad Bunny was playing. Because even though those songs were in Spanish, they were saying things that the FCC does not allow on the airwaves. Keep that in mind. The next thing that also happened, this actually happened first, was that now Jay-Z is being in cahoots, or at least in conversations, with the Epstein situation. So much so that in those files, they have Jay-Z allegedly, we're not saying he's been doing any of these things, what do we know? But they allegedly have Jay-Z doing some absolutely horrible things. Absolutely. If what they're saying is true, then he did some absolutely horrible things to people, to minors and to females, and probably men. What the hell do I know? We learning a lot about our celebrities nowadays. So keep all of this in mind. Rock Nation is losing their power. So where did Rock Nation's power come from? Do y'all remember Rock Nation CEO, the lady that was a snitch for the government against Mexican drug cartels? Guess who they don't need anymore? Guess why she's not important? None of her no contacts that she could have in Mexico right now is important to the government. Guess why? I left out a lot because I'm assuming some of y'all can put two and two together. So, for everybody that don't know, once you're an informant for life. There is no being an informant. Let's just talk about it on the police level, like not even the federal level, but just city limits level. There is no being an informant and then they come back to you and ask you a question in the future and you don't help them. So if she was an informant against the drug cartels for the federal government and whenever she was, what do you think she's still doing? She still has contacts in Mexico. She still has contacts at the cartel. She's able to get information from other countries and disseminate it to the FBI or CIA if needed. So even if they don't need anything from her this year, they might next year. It's in their best interest to be in good favor with Rock Nation. I need for y'all to understand what's happening. I have to explain all of this before I get to the Tory Lanez, because I don't think y'all understand why they went after Tory Lanez. I interviewed Tory Lanez's bodyguard. Not Tory Lanez's. I interviewed Kelsey's bodyguard. Do y'all remember? No one else did this. We had people come on our program right after the shooting saying Tory Lanez was innocent and giving basically the same exact stories. Kelsey was getting her butt whooped by Megan Thee Stallion. She went into the vehicle and pulled out the gun. Tory Lanez went to stop her from shooting Megan Thee Stallion. After the cops pulled them over, Megan blamed it on Tory. Do y'all really understand why this was the play? This wasn't the play because they was trying to protect Megan. Because they could have just sent Kelsey to jail. Who's Kelsey? This was the play because they were trying to get rid of Tory Lanez. Okay, so now I have to give y'all a little bit more information. We're going to get back to the Jay-Z thing. We're going to get back to this. But do y'all remember when COVID first happened? I hate saying that. C-19 first happened? Y'all remember, right? Everybody was locked in their homes, right? The only way to really make money if you was part of, people that do tours and people that go to shows and working in that field, music and whatnot, was to be on social media. Who was the first person that blew up Instagram? Tory Lanez. Everybody fucking, pardon my language, everybody just forgets that, what's this dude name? D-Nice stole Tory Lanez's thunder. Tory Lanez had Instagram locked down when he got on. Instagram was on lock. Tory Lanez had rich, millionaire, 20-something women at his home every night. And he was knocking a couple of them off every night. Tory Lanez was controlling the Instagram algorithm. If he was controlling the algorithm, then what was happening? Other people were losing money. Okay, Roc Nation tried to sign Tory Lanez to a deal that he did not like. He refused to sign. But before that happened, Tory Lanez was in that deal with Interscope, right? He was trying to get out of his Interscope deal. He couldn't get out. Roc Nation helped him get out of the Interscope deal with under the understanding that once he was free from Interscope, he would sign with them. After he got free from Interscope, Tory Lanez decided to not sign with Roc Nation and to stay independent. I don't think people, and this is what I mean by, we have to stop making all of our decisions based off of emotion. I have some really, really dope friends. I don't have a lot of friends, but that's on purpose. Like, I literally don't make friends with people that smoke cigarettes. Not because I think that they're a bad person, but because if you're my friend and you smoke cigarettes, if we're standing there talking and you light up a cigarette, then it's rude if I walk away. So I don't never want to be rude like that. So therefore, I just don't make friends with people that smoke cigarettes. So I don't have a ton of friends. And it's on purpose, just so we could be clear. So please don't nobody come up to me trying to be my friend. I'm not lonely. I love peace. The more people you have around you, the less peace you're going to have. I love peace. All right? So please don't nobody. There's only one person that I want to spend all of my time with besides Jesus, just so we can be clear. I'm pretty sure she knows who she is. So other than that, I'm not trying to make any new friends. If I do, God bless it. If I don't, God bless it. So I'm saying all of this to say this. I'm having a conversation with a very close friend of mine that I like a lot. We have differences of opinions on politics and a lot of other things. But this is a good person. Like every other person I consider to be my friend. I consider this person a good person. So we're having a conversation about something. And during this conversation, I'm constantly giving them information. That's true, that they did not know previously. So I say all of that to say this. Stop arguing with people who don't actually know what's happening. Start trying to inform them. If they don't want the information, then just take it as that. Leave them be. Go about your life. Right? But some people just don't have the information. That's it. So why am I saying all this? When Tory Lanez got arrested and Tory Lanez said they're trying to get me up out of here, I thought it was obvious. Now, okay, I spoke to people in Tory Lanez's camp, just so we could be clear. Like, they called me up like ASAP. Remember, we was on the top of the world at this point. I still have these people's information, and I can still talk to these people anytime I feel. We're just not really creating that type of content at the moment, so I don't really care to bother them, just so we could be clear. But if we ever go back to creating that type of content, I can easily call these people up and be like, yo, what's popping? What's good? You understand? Like, these people have done research on me as a person, as a human being. They probably know more about my life. A lot of these people probably know more about my life than I've even disclosed on social media. Just so we could be clear. These ain't people that just happenstanced about me. So when Tory Lanez came out and told y'all that they was after him, and it's obvious that there was an issue between him and Roc Nation, and then he has an issue with a Roc Nation artist that then gets him arrested, I want to know why every single person with logic and common sense wasn't jumping out of their seat the same way that I was. Because this is the perfect example of why people can't tell me about Trump. People can't tell me about politics. Because I'm so consistently right. Or, shout out to the Most High, glory be to God, Jesus is King. God has so consistently allowed for me to see things that are actually happening to the point that I have to question sometimes where you getting your information from. And then when I'm giving you new information and it's just stuff that you just didn't know, I can't be mad at you. I can't be upset. I just have to see how you accept that information. That's it. Did you deflect? Did you digest it? Did you ask me a question or two more just to make sure that you was understood what I was saying? Because that's what I would do when somebody brings me information that I had not previously known. Because I sincerely want to be on the right side of the conversation. I don't want you to agree with me. I want both of us to be able to agree with the truth. So if I'm ill-informed, I would like to know. Not what your opinion is or how you feel, but actual facts that can allow for me to digest the information and come to my own opinion on how I feel. If that makes any sense. So, Tory Lanez's bodyguard told me this. I'm going to tell you as best as I can remember. I probably had 30-minute to a 45-minute conversation with him. At that time, he did not want to, I believe that it wasn't really like a on-air live interview like that. I think he just spoke to me. I don't believe we was on air. But I believe it was because he was saying that confidentiality agreement. Yeah, there was that, so he couldn't talk. It was an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. He can't talk about what's going on in the situations. You know what I'm saying? But apparently, he thought there was one, but there really wasn't one. So now he's speaking. So for everybody that just got here, I'll tell you what he said. I didn't interview Kelsey's bodyguard, by the way. I interviewed Tory Lanez's bodyguard. Kelsey's bodyguard said that he heard Megan Thee Stallion talking about the situation, and she straight up said that Kelsey shot her. Now, just so we can be clear, I'm still under the impression that the girl wasn't shot at all. She stepped on glass. But during this conversation that Kelsey's bodyguard overheard, pardon me, Megan Thee Stallion was basically saying that Kelsey was the one firing the gun in her direction. And Tory Lanez literally went and grabbed the gun out of Kelsey's hand, and then it fired 2 more times into the ground. That's what the dude in the window saw. The dude was like, yeah, I saw it. It was like Tory Lanez firing firing the gun in the air. Like he was like the guy from... I'm trying to think of a good movie where people was firing into the air. I don't know. Training Day. I don't think he did that in Training Day, but I'm just gonna say Training Day. Like he was firing the gun in the air, like the guy in Training Day. Like I don't think he did that in Training Day. By the way, I just can't think of a movie. So I want to be clear on this. And this is another thing, and I just want to point this out. Me and Academics were the only ones that had interviews with these people. Everything that Academics was telling y'all is the same person that told me the story, so I knew. No one else interviewed these people but me and Academics. I don't know if Vlad interviewed them. Vlad could have, but I didn't see it. But no one else So I'm saying this for the people that was trying to make content to bash me. These dudes didn't come talk to y'all. Remember? Not one of them. Remember? Or everybody that makes content hating on me. Why don't y'all get conversations and interviews with actual celebrities? In any regard. They can't, by the way. They can't. Celebrities don't talk to pages that do nothing but bash other pages. That's a PR nightmare. So that's why the individuals that talk crazy about me, they can only get street people on their page for the most part. Where over here, y'all see me interview politicians. You see me interview rappers. You see me interview a lot of people. Not recently, but just over the course of this page. These people can't get interviews with none of these people. Because the second these people see their page, they don't want to go over there. Because they don't do nothing but talk bad about people. Just telling you what it is. I tried to help, but don't nobody believe me. Anyway. So we're going to play this one more time. I'm going to play this again. Listen to what he says. Hold on. I got a little bit more stuff to preference first. I want to be clear about something. Pardon me. I don't want there to be no misunderstanding. Hold on. Pay attention. The reason why this is coming out now is because Jay-Z is on the way down. Rock Nation is about to, if you got stock in Rock Nation, I advise you to sell it. Is that a publicly traded company? I don't even know if that's publicly traded. But if you do got stock in anything Beyonce, if you got stock in anything Jay-Z, I advise you to sell it. They're about to go down. I'm talking about the stock. I don't know if any of these people going to jail or nothing like that. Talking about the stock. All of that's about to drop. It's about to drop off the face of the earth. Don't be surprised if Rock Nation is being mentioned soon in RICOs. Now, I have information you guys don't have. And the number one reason why I'm not going to share it is because people are just going to argue with me and say I'm not telling the truth. So I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just being honest with you. Then I'm going to have to be talking about how I'm telling the truth for the next 2-3 months instead of talking about the actual subject matter. So nowadays, I just don't put y'all on to nothing that's about to happen. No. If anybody that's ever been on this page for any time so long, they'll tell you I've been basically telling the future or prognosticating on this page for like 6-7 straight years. And I don't think I've been wrong about anything. I think I've been like slightly, but other people think my percentage is somewhere like 90 to 95% correct. Like I've been hitting the nail on the head. And that's the number one reason why I'm telling people, please don't just hate Trump for the fact of hating Trump. Like you don't know what you're doing. I know, don't believe me or whatever the case is. I don't care. But we cannot be on the side of people that want to sexualize children. You just can't be on that side, fam. You're going to argue all day, every day about how Trump is a terrible person. But remember, if you're against Trump, you are literally on the side advocating for the people who now we are hearing about doing terrible things to children. And then you're going to say, but Trump's in there too. But we don't have nothing about Trump doing anything to anyone that has been substantiated. While with all of these other people, there's video, there's audio, there's like tons of evidence that y'all all want to look over and just want to ignore. Y'all want to let all of these people commit as many crimes and as much evil as possible because in y'all minds, the only person y'all should go after is Trump. That's literally Satan manipulating you. Some of y'all on Satan's side, but a lot of y'all not on Satan's side. And a lot of y'all want to do the right thing. And a lot of y'all love God. Please show it. Please show the world that you love God. Just please do that. You cannot be on the side. You can't look at the nation that has already came out about what they're doing or what has been done in the Epstein files. And if you are one of those people that's like, I don't want to talk about nothing but Trump, then you're okay with what they're doing to those children. I don't know no better way to say that. I'm not. I can never be. I'm never gonna be on that side. I'm never gonna allow for you to abuse those people because I hate that guy. I'm just never gonna do that. I can't hate anybody so much that I'm just gonna ignore the fact that people are, graping children and unaliving children and torturing children. I know some of y'all is okay with that. I know some of y'all don't care what happened to the kids. All y'all care about is Trump going down. I get it. Y'all don't care if 1 million kids die just as long as Trump go to jail. I get it. But I don't want one kid to die. I don't want one kid unalived. I don't want one child harmed. So that's the difference between me and people that hate Trump. That's one of the biggest differences. I don't care how much I dislike any human being on the planet. I'm never going to just close my eyes to children being abused. And that's what a lot of y'all are doing. Because y'all don't want to talk about nothing except for Trump. They have no other interest except for Trump. 1 million kids could die. 1 million kids could get burned alive. Y'all don't care. Y'all going to say you care. You're going to say you care. But the minute we're not talking directly about those kids and we bring anything else up, you're going to forget about the kids, proving you don't care. You're going to hyper-focus on Trump, proving you don't care about the children. There's literal videos showing these people abusing kids. I heard they were skinning kids. They were chopping little babies up and then preparing them as meals. But y'all more concerned with Trump instead of those kids. Me and you not the same. I love y'all. Don't get it confused. I love y'all. And I wish the best for you. And I want all the and I want everybody to be inside of God's kingdom. Don't get it confused. But there's no way on this world, in this planet, there's just nothing that can ever happen. There's nothing any human being could ever do that I'll be okay with children being tortured and unalived and eaten because I want that guy to go to jail so bad. There's just nothing. And every time I see you guys hyper-focusing on Trump while all of this other stuff is going on, I'm sorry, that's what I see you as. I don't want to talk about Trump with no one. I don't really want to talk about politics any further with no one. Because it hurts my heart when somebody I love isn't showing that they love the kids. That hurts my heart. What do I do? Do I ruin our relationship by trying to get them to love the kids? By explaining? Or do I just let it slide and don't care about they everlasting soul? What do you do? Anyway, let's get back to this conversation. This is just really something that bothers me and just really upsets me. Maybe because I knew this stuff was happening before the Epstein files dropped. You know, I knew about this type of stuff for like years on top of years. So maybe that's why, you know, I'm feeling the way that I feel about it. Think about how many of these Hollywood actors was unaliving babies when they were babies. Cause you know that's what they do, right? They have the little kids unalive babies. And those is the kids they let grow into adulthood. So sometimes when y'all see these kids popping up out of nowhere on Nickelodeon, on Disney, and whatever the hell. Exactly. Anyway. I think people forget how it is to be a child and how cruel the world could be when you don't have any adults to protect you, you know? So I think people, they just forget about that. They forget how when you're a child, you know, because a lot of people, they had their mothers, they had their fathers, they had their brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts. And the way God had me grow up was basically completely alone for like years. So I personally just could never forget. Because I just can't. And I think a lot of people just forget how defenseless and how children are just left to the elements sometimes. You know? Because they protect their child at home, or because when they were children somebody protected them. But when I was 8 years old, I lived alone. When I was 9 years old, I lived alone. When I was 10 years old, I lived alone. When I was 11 years, you get it? I lived alone. When I was 12 years old, I lived alone. They came and got me when I was like 12, 13. Now imagine if one of these maniacs would have came upon me. What happened if one of these maniacs would have just scooped me up walking home from school, or when I'm outside trying to figure out how I'm going to find food to eat, and I'm walking from store to store trying to see where I could steal from, because I ain't ate. I don't, you know, scared to tell my friends' families that I don't have nobody at home and that my house don't got no food, and I'm scared. I don't want to get my father in trouble. I don't want to get my family in trouble. Because I don't know what anybody's going to do with me if they find out. So I still have that in my brain. So people that harm children, they make me a special type of angry. So I just cannot be on the side of you individuals that ignore children being eaten, that ignore children being tortured, and ignore children being burned alive because you hate Trump so much. I think it's crazy. Anyway. So Tory Lanez, Rock Nation is going down. Tory Lanez should sue Rock Nation, should sue California. People are like, why should he sue California's over here? So the attorney here, I'm assuming that's an attorney, he made a really good point. He said, yo, look, and I said this also when all of this went down, just so we could be clear. He said, yo, look, after the situation happened, there was 3 people in the vehicle that were possible suspects. They only took DNA evidence from 1 person. That's not doing a proper investigation. On top of that, he had no DNA that was found on a gun, apparently. There was no DNA found on anything. So, on the trigger, his DNA was not found on the trigger. So, he didn't pull the trigger for the gun, basically, is what they're saying. So, you have 3 possible suspects, and you only get DNA from 1? Or did you get DNA from all 3, and you only gave some of the evidence over to the defense? So no, I'm suing California. Also, they didn't let this guy in. I think they blocked this guy from testifying. I'm not 100% sure, but there was like a lot of BS going on. I'm suing California. I'm suing everybody. I'm suing Rock Nation. I'm directly, personally suing Megan Thee Stallion. I'm suing Kelsey. The only person in this situation I'm not suing is the bodyguard that finally came forward. I'm suing everybody else into the dirt. I'm going to sue Rock Nation to the point that after they pay me, they got to freaking close their doors. I'm going to either own the damn company or it's going away. Because guess what? You can't do this type of what they did to Tory Lanez unless you get help from politicians. Do y'all understand what's going on? When I was having a conversation with somebody like 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago. This was so long ago, I don't want to say who the person is. Because whenever I'll tell you about these conversations that I had, it's usually somebody saying something to me and they're not right. And so I'm not telling you who it is. I'm not saying whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl. Same things as whether it's an adult, whether it's a child or a young adult or whatever. I'm not saying who it is. So anyway, I'm having a conversation with somebody over politics. And while we're having a conversation over politics, I intimate to them that the not music industry per se, but the celebrities of this world are, being manipulated and are manipulated basically by the government in order to get us to believe things. So the person agrees to a certain thing. They're like, yeah, to agree. And so we going on. And I try to get it in there so they can understand what I'm saying. Because we're having a conversation where I 100% believe them to be on the wrong side of the conversation. And I want to get them, whenever I'm trying to get you on the right side of the conversation, it's not because I'm trying to get you to agree with anything I'm saying. It's because I actively think you're doing something that goes against what the Lord wants you to do. If you're just doing something that I don't agree with, this shit don't bother me. What the hell do I care? I'm going to walk away and go about my business. But if I care about you, and I do care about people in general, I make it a little bit more intimate. If you are somebody that I spend time with and that I want the best for everybody. But if you are a person that I spend time with specifically, I absolutely want the best for everybody. But I spend a lot of time with you. I want you to be on the right side of the Lord. So I'm not going to just leave stuff alone sometimes. I at least I was that way. Now I just leave stuff alone. You want to go to hell, go to hell. But sometimes people be on the wrong side of the Lord. So while they think I'm arguing with them, you just got to have your way. No, this ain't about my way. You're on the wrong side of God, in my opinion. And since I believe you to be on the wrong side of God and I care about you, I want to give you information to allow for you to, if maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but allow for you to be able to maybe change the perspective. You might keep your perspective, but maybe look at things a little bit more skewed. You know, just a little bit different. Maybe I'm wrong and you are wrong. And maybe this conversation allows for us to be able to see the bigger picture. That's why I like having smart friends. I like having friends that have different, how do you say, specialities than me. Right? So just because somebody isn't super book smart, that doesn't mean they don't know how to build shit. I love those friends. Just because somebody don't know how to build shit, that don't mean that they're not super book smart. I love those friends. Just because somebody don't know how to build stuff and they aren't super book smart, maybe they're good at research. I love those friends. Everybody has the thing that makes them who they are. And I appreciate, or I attempt to appreciate, that aspect of whoever it is that I'm dealing with. Just so we could be clear. So this isn't about, I think I'm the smartest person in the room, but I do something a lot of other people don't do. And that is, when somebody gives me information that I didn't know previously, I literally remember that information and then try to apply it. Just so we could be clear. I don't think many people do that. At least I don't see many people doing that. I think people need to do that more often. In any regard, let's get back to Tory Lanez and this guy. So just so we can be clear, what I'm trying to express to everybody, so you could get a good understanding of what I'm saying is that this, everything that's happened, Tory Lanez is about to basically be free because of Donald Trump. Like, well, everything because of Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump energy is changing America. You might think it's for the worse, you might think it's for the better, whatever you think it's for, it's changing America. I think a lot of the changes are for the better, but I do understand that in the beginning, change hurts. Change always hurts in the beginning because it's something we're not used to. It's something different. Like, let's talk about Mandani 2 seconds. Mandani said he's going to make buses free. There's people that believe that. Now, if I call those people crazy, there's individuals that's going to argue me down like, why is that crazy? You understand? But it's crazy. We live in New York City. This ain't, I don't know, Albuquerque. Albuquerque is probably a pretty big city in New Mexico. This isn't some small town somewhere where the taxes the town brings in is more than the town spends yearly. You do understand that that's important, right? New York City spends more than it brings in. So every year, New York City, Chicago, all of these blue cities, they got to get money from the government every single year because they go over budget by millions and billions of dollars every year. So they need to be supplemented, not billions, but millions of dollars every year. So they need money from the government every year because the city doesn't make enough money to pay for itself. So you're going to have people say, then why don't we tax the rich? You do understand that the only people that you can actually tax as far as income tax is the people that state tax, no, those type. You have to be a resident of New York City. You know what rich people have a lot of? Money. You know what else rich people have a lot of? Homes. The person could just say, you know what, Florida is my home now to the federal government. I have a house in New York, but that's not where I'm primarily staying. So guess what happens to all of that money that New York City was getting? Now it goes to Florida. Not all of it, because the taxes in Florida is going to be different. But basically, that money goes to Florida, not New York City. So while you're busy saying, let's just tax the rich, they could afford it, what you don't understand is, you think people make money in order to give their money away, or do you think people make money in order to spend the money the way that they want to spend it? New York City, right now, The top 1% pays 49% of the state taxes, or the city taxes, or whatever. 49%. The top 1%. That's probably less than 100 people. Do you get it? We want millionaires and billionaires to come move into the city. Because when they do that, guess what millionaires and billionaires do? That everybody just keeps forgetting. They donate to stuff. And before you say they're not going to donate because they're greedy, yeah, that's the number one reason why they would donate. So they can write it off on taxes, dumbass. The number one reason why you donate. At least if you don't care about people, that's the number one reason why you donate. We made a huge purchase. Taxes are going to kill us at the end of the year. But if we make a donation over there, we get to not pay that high of taxes. And the donation is going to be much less than how much we would have paid in taxes. 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 4,000% less. This little donation over here and that little donation over there. All we got to do is make sure that the donations is inside of city limits. They really need to start teaching civics in in schools, and they need to start teaching economics. They don't teach neither one of these things the way that they should. So while there are people who are busy thinking the rich people got to pay, the rich people got to pay, the rich people are paying. The problem is the city is wasting the money and using it on resources that we shouldn't be using it on. Giving the money away. Think about it like this. We just seen what happened in Minneapolis, right? Imagine if all of that money didn't get sent to Somalia. And instead that money was used in the school systems, public transportation, cleaning the cities, sanitation, the police force. Give grants to people that's going to go to college inside of the city. Inside of the city. Used for the pantries and for the other things that the city needs, that churches. We're gonna go to, X amount of churches, and if they have enough seating area to feed people, we're gonna on the city's dime pay to get the eating area renovated so it could be up to snuff. So now that church could, be a soup kitchen a couple of days out the week. These are ideas that fix problems. I know the Democrats don't care about fixing problems right now. All the Democrats care is about how much they hate Trump. I get it. But Tory Lanez has no chance of getting out of jail if Trump doesn't win. And I also think it's important that Trump does not pardon him and that he actually goes to court and then wins his case. Because if you do it that way, Rock Nation is done. If Trump just pardons him, then all of the nefarious BS that was done to Tory Lanez gets swept under the rug. Nobody is held accountable. Jay-Z is about to be up out of there. Because how much longer do you think the Democrats are going to be able to distract the American people that these individuals in the Epstein list was abusing children? Because that's all the Democrats are doing, distracting from the fact that those children were being abused. How long do you think they're going to be able to do that? 4 or 5 more months? 6 more months? The long end, the short end, 2 more months? How long do you think they're going to be able to do that? How long do you think it is going to be before more people who are currently Democrats wake up? How long do you think that's going to be? Before there's just people that's just going to say, hating Trump isn't enough. Y'all do understand that the reason why they gotta bus people in and out of these cities to protest is because in the actual cities, there's not enough people that live there to do the protesting. You do understand this, right? Like, they're literally busing. Pardon me. They're literally busing people in and out of the city. Because in the city that they're at most of the time, that they want to do all of these riots, there's not enough stupid people to go out into the middle of the street and quite possibly get injured. I want to have this Trump conversation. I'm going to take this off the screen for 2 seconds because I really do want to have this little Trump conversation, and we're going to come back to this if y'all don't mind. I'm sorry for everybody that's like, I don't want to talk about Tory Lanez over here. I'm going to put a Trump graphic up on the screen real quick so we could just have this, because I want to have a real quick conversation, because you got to have a reason to hate the guy other than innuendo and accusations, man. Like, there got to be more than that. Like, there got to be more than that. Why did I spell whistle wrong? And why does it... He tipped off the FBI. How are y'all saying that he's involved? Like, he tipped off the FBI. I need for you... so I'm going to explain this real quick. For the individuals that's like, yeah, he's just trying to make sure that they don't find him. If you tipped off the FBI, that means that the FBI had no inkling of what was going on. There was nobody on your trail. There was nobody looking. It was a tip off. He tipped them off. He didn't give them a tip. When you give somebody a tip, they're already looking for something, and then you give them a tip. When someone knows nothing about something, and then you tell them about it, you're tipping them off. Tip off claim. According to the FBI files released in early 2026, former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder, stated that Trump called him in the mid-2000s to support the investigation into the... So, not only tip-off claim, allegedly, but he called to support the investigation? Once again, if a rich person did some crimes, and you're like, oh man, if we go after this dude, that might be my career, and then they have enough money to not go to jail. And then you're sitting there and you're worried and you're concerned. And then a guy richer than that person, or as rich as that person, calls you up and say, nah, you on to it. We need to get this person up out of there. You know how many other claims have probably been made about Jeffrey Epstein, but the police had their hands tied and couldn't do nothing? And then Trump calls, and guess what? Now, boom. If they coming and they trying to stop us, Trump has our back. Documents suggest Trump was one of the first people to call the police regarding the investigation, claiming he saw teenagers around Epstein and got the hell out of there. Whistleblower narrative. Following these disclosures, some, including individuals close to the situation, have suggested that Trump acted as a whistleblower against Epstein in the early stages of the trafficking case. So this is why I don't, when Democrats try to talk to me about Trump is doing stuff, how? More importantly, they have video of all of these other people. Why there no video of Trump? I'm going to tell y'all what they did. As soon as they found out that Trump called, or that Trump wasn't on the type of time they was on, they start setting up lies. That people do that to me all the time. All the time. Like, perfect example. I'm gonna give you this example one more time. I give this all the time. There's this lady out here. There's like a ton of them. And I'm gonna say something. I know people are gonna be mad at me, but I think I need to preference this because I think this is important. There's these black women out here where I live. All of the women that do this is black. I just want to be clear about this. There is no woman that isn't black that does this to me. I'm not saying that there won't be in the future. I'm saying as of right now, all of the women that do this to me are black women. And what they do is they try to get close enough to me to just say anything to me at all. To like, hey, how's your day going? And if I respond at all, if I say anything, it doesn't matter what I say. If I say I'm having a great day, if I'm the happiest a person could ever be, in the best mood and best attitude that a person could ever be in, giving the most positive energy that a person could ever be given, they're gonna then, whenever I respond, start quivering like I'm about to hit them or something. And then apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like that. Like, it's crazy. So I don't talk to no black women. It's crazy. But what they're doing is they want to set up the lie to tell on me in the future and say that I treat women bad. So I don't talk to no black women I don't know. That's why. I don't hate y'all. I love y'all. But I don't want to deal with that. So I don't talk to no black women I know that I don't know. Somebody would literally have to introduce you to me that I like in order for me to really feel comfortable talking to you about anything. Tying shoelaces, anything. Because and I know I'm saying this, and I know that there's people that says like, yo, I'm not exaggerating. I'm actually not saying how bad it is. Like, they'll come up to me and say just anything. Just like, it's a beautiful day, ain't it? And I could be like, yeah, today's beautiful. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. Like, what are you talking about? So I won't go within 10 feet of black women I don't know. Like, I literally, when they're walking down the street, I try to walk away and be as far apart from them as possible, just so nobody can do that. I love black women. I love y'all. I wish the best for y'all. But I am not going to be getting abused for that's not happening. I'd just rather never speak to another one of y'all as long as I live. If I die today, if I die 100 years from now and never speak to another black woman from today till then, as long as that don't happen, I'm fine. So what I'm saying is that they made those lies up about Trump. So they had people calling up the police saying Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump did this. And then whenever they try to investigate what Trump allegedly did, there's never no victim. There's never no nothing. It's just all unsubstantiated claims. Everything. But they're in the Epstein files. And there's a lot of it in the Epstein files. But black people are the same people that'll be like, yo, that person lied on me. But then, when it's obvious that somebody is lying on somebody that y'all don't like, y'all still pretend that that person is telling the truth. When it's obvious it's a lie. So I don't know what to tell you. I think all of this shit is crazy. I'm just being honest. I hate that they do that too, because I really be wanting to show love to our black women. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel it upsets me that I can't go out and be kind to my own women, like my own black women. I can't go out and show them love and just be nice and happy around them. This upsets me. I'm just being honest with you. 100% upsets me. %100 pisses me off. I can't go spend no time with my own people. Absolutely pisses me off. I can't even. I mean, I know I'm saying it makes me angry, but believe me, you can't even fathom. But I live with it. It is what it is. But that's all they were doing, was they was lying in order to create a situation so in the future they could pretend he was doing things he wasn't doing. That's all they was doing. My fault. I am clicking something and my fault. Man, I hate my voice get deep by accident. I actually have to think about it and keep my voice high, because if I don't think about it, my voice drops like a lot. I don't really care for it that much. I mean, I don't care, but yeah. Hold on, I'm checking something. I think that just makes him switch or some shit. I don't know. Anyway. Alright. I don't got access to this yet, right? Sorry about this. Hold on. I'm looking at something. Alright. That's gonna be dope. Alright. Alright, let's get back to what we're doing. Alright, so I want to be clear about something. Let's get back on the Tory Lanez. All of this stuff is connected. Please understand, all of this stuff is connected. The Tory Lanez situation is connected to this. I promise you, all of this is connected. None of this stuff happening by accident? None of this stuff is happening by accident. All of this stuff is connected. 150%. I promise you. Watch when I tell you. I don't know. I might not. Whatever. I don't know. I might not. No, I don't think I should say anything yet. See, I haven't been doing my show. So I'm trying to think about if I should reach out to somebody, or if anybody's going to reach out to me while I'm thinking about saying a thing. But I haven't been doing my show. If I've been doing my show, people will reach out to me. And I don't want to reach out to ask this specific question if it's not something that people want to discuss. So, all right. Don't expect Tory Lanez to be in jail this time next year. Let's think about all the people that would be in trouble right now. Kelsey, the district attorney. Why would the district attorney be in trouble, Jack? They gave her immunity for testifying. Why would they need to give you immunity for testifying if they don't think that you was involved in the case? Why would she need to have immunity? I'm going to say this again because I asked this question when it was going on. I didn't think it made any sense. But why would she need to have immunity to testify if Tory Lanez shot her? Why would Kelsey need immunity to testify if Megan Thee Stallion shot Tory Lanez? I mean, if Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion, why would Kelsey need immunity? Why would the DA even consider giving her immunity? The idea of even asking for immunity should have made the DA say, wait, hold on, stop. We need to do a better investigation. So, why would she need immunity? Why would she ask for immunity? And why would the DA give her immunity? I don't think you can hate Kamala Harris enough. Wink, wink. I don't think that you can hate Kamala Harris enough. You know what? Let's switch that around. I don't think you can love Kamala Harris enough. Kamala Harris has done so many nefarious things, evil and hateful things, that she will never apologize for nor ask God for forgiveness. In my opinion, I don't think she would. That I don't believe you can love her enough to get her right. So I'm going to have just a random conversation. See, men and women, human beings, we have this thing about us. And that's even if, relatively speaking, the normal human being is doing the wrong things out here in the world. There's an amount of love that you can heap onto that person where it'll touch them and then they'll get on the right track. Now, that amount of love changes depending on who the person is. Maybe the person doesn't need a lot of love. Maybe the person just gets zero love, or let's say, like in my case, I get like negative a million love. I'm just being honest with you. Like, fam, when I'm telling you that black women just absolutely go through the, just, I can't express this enough. Not every black woman. I know some dope black women. Shout out to Joan. Shout out to Pam. I love them. So, not every black woman, just so we could be clear. There's others also. All right, I got black female friends. Shout out to Robin. Shout out to Robin and her family. Shout out to Miss Pam, her family. Shout out to Jonah, her family. There's more out there also, just so we could be clear. But there's a level of love that you can give to a person who's not necessarily on the right track, and then they'll turn around. That's literally what a lot of these movies is made of. That's the story in a lot of these movies that we watch. There'll be a person and they'll be downtrodden and they'll be in the wrong side of the track, and then all of a sudden that person comes along and gives them all of this love, and now all of a sudden they're just on the right way and they're doing the right things in the world, and like this is a real thing. This is a thing that's active, because remember, real genuine love is Father's energy. Real genuine love is Jesus's energy. You understand? So when you give somebody real genuine love, you're bringing them to God, or you're bringing God to them, basically. So I don't think that there's a level of love that you can give Kamala Harris that will get her straightened out. Because some of these people, and I believe her to be one of them, have been doing evil for so long that they don't even believe they can be forgiven. You can be forgiven. All right. There's very few things that God is just done with you on, as far as my information goes. But if you speak to the regular pastor or whatever, or church goer or whatever, that person that really reads the Bible even more than I do, most of them will say, there is no sin that if you agree to never do it again and you change your ways, that God won't forgive. Right? Just so we can be clear. I'm human. What do I know? But that's what they'll say. So everybody can be forgiven for whatever heinous, destructive, terrible thing that you've done. You can be forgiven. The problem is, many people don't want to be forgiven. And I'm not talking about going and asking for forgiveness. I'm talking about forgiveness being in your heart. I mean, pardon me. It being in your heart, you literally feeling bad for the thing that you've done. Not you don't want to get the consequences. Remember, most people just upset they're going to get consequences. They don't really care about whatever evil they did. They'll do the evil again. They're just concerned whether the consequences, are they going to be held accountable. That's it. I don't think that there's a level of God's energy that a regular mortal can bring to certain people that will get them to get on the right track. And for the people that's like, how do you know what the right track is? I'm just talking about being with God. I'm not talking about any of my opinions. I'm not talking about any of my beliefs. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm just talking about being right with God. And I 100% believe that Tory Lanez was railroaded. And the reason why I think he was railroaded, just so we could be clear, is because he was supposed to, Roc Nation helped him get out of that deal with Interscope. I believe that was under the impression that he was going to sign with Roc Nation after he got out of the deal. He then did not sign with Roc Nation. And then on top of that, he went and blew up on Instagram so big on Instagram. He was the biggest thing on Instagram for like 4 months. For like 4 or 5 months, from like February to like, I don't know how many months that is. February to like June, maybe about 4 months. He was the biggest thing on Instagram. And then those girls pulled up and then he stopped being on Instagram. He started hanging out with them. Remember? He was on Instagram almost every single night. And then all of a sudden, Megan Thee Stallion and that other chick, the Kardashian girl, the Jenner girl, pulled up, and then all of a sudden he was hanging out with them a couple of nights, and then all of a sudden now his live is, he barely is doing his lives. He might do one this week, might do one the next week. I believe that, one, they were trying to get him to go into a certain area of celebrity politics that he currently was not in. And two, I believe it was to, he owned Instagram from like 9 to 11. It was him. I don't even know what time his show was on, but whenever his show came on, he owned Instagram. I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is, because a lot of y'all got like 500 subs, 5,000 subs or followers. I don't think y'all understand how big of a deal that is. I got 50 something thousand on Instagram right now. I'm not going to lie to you. If I actually went out and started talking to some people to try to get promotion, I can easily get, and I'm not talking about with regular people that you could call up and be like, don't let him do your, I'm talking about with actual companies and businesses that's not going to care when y'all call up and talk crazy. They're not going to care. When I sell a spot on Instagram for $10, but that spot really and sincerely, even if it only gets 100 fucking views, because of the number on my page and the visibility that I actually get, that $10, it really should have been paying me 100. So people don't understand how this shit works. And that's why I got, and I want to say this real quick, and this is kind of a flex, but this is just, I want to make a point. And that's why, remember all of those people that I was trying to help make YouTube pages? And when I was with them, their YouTube pages was doing really well, and they was getting big returns, and it was getting big numbers, and it was getting a ton of people following them. But they didn't know how to monetize their YouTube. And what I mean by that is they didn't know how to get people to want to buy time spots. Like, they didn't know how to get people to want to donate money for, not donate, but to like buy space. Remember, I was getting donations, but I was also selling space on my page. I was making hundreds of dollars a month, sometimes thousands of dollars a month, selling space on the page. They were upset that I was doing that. They couldn't monetize themselves, so they all decided to get together and attack me. Now, since I stopped dealing with them and they've stopped dealing with me, I stopped dealing with them, I've gained more than double of all of the subs that they probably have in total through that period of time that I have not been dealing with them. That's God's favor. That's favor. Because I'm not even making videos. How often do y'all see me come online? That's favor. That's God favoring me. And if you go look at their pages, they barely increased any subs over the last 3, 4, 5 years. They have like almost the same number of subs. While I've gained like 40, 50,000. You understand? Doing nothing because I'm not even making videos. This is just God's favor. Shout out to the Most High. Glory be to God. Jesus is King. So I'm always going to work for God. And I'm always going to go out there in the world and try to find things for me to do that is magnifying the Most High's name. Because he loved me first. And if anybody that understands my situation right now and knows my situation right now, they understand. This is God's favor. This is favor. I don't want to go into it. I don't want to talk about it because God is about the if any of my intuitions, feelings, dreams, and stuff like that is true, God is about to do something really big in my life. And I believe he wants me to wait until this really big thing happens in my life in order to make any big decisions about anything. And apparently, I think I've been on hold for like a year, a little bit more than a year, because I was literally supposed to do the thing previously, and I chickened out. I'm just being honest with you. I chickened out. Got scared. But that's why God had to tell me beforehand that it was something he wanted me to do, because he already knew that I was going to have cold feet. I think I'm about to close this up. I might get back on and talk later. I'm gonna let this play for y'all. Go listen to this. I should have played this like 3 or 4 times. Listen to this. Listen to what these guys is talking about. Listen to what he says. And just so we can be clear, remember, I interviewed not Kelsey's bodyguard, but I interviewed Tory Lanez's bodyguard. That was there. I told y'all everything that within a week of it happening. It was less than a week. I got a call from a person. I don't know if well, y'all know who the person. Anyway, I got a call from a really, really, really high person in the music industry. They was like, yo, they told me the situation. I did a live where I came and I brought y'all the information. And then they contacted me back and was like, you know what? Because they liked the job I did. They wanted me to actually talk directly to the bodyguard that was there. The bodyguard that was there was not Kelsey's bodyguard. It was Tory Lanez's bodyguard. I spoke to Tory Lanez's bodyguard. I came on here and told y'all what happened. There was, I'll explain again real quick for the people that don't get it. Tory Lanez, Kelsey, and Megan Thee Stallion had ended up going to Caitlyn Jenner, not Caitlyn Jenner, whatever, one of the girls, Caitlyn, not Caitlyn's, but one of the Jenner's, I don't know, the girl that her name is Jenner, part of the Kardashians. Tory Lanez had been banging her. The one that's Travis Scott's wife. Tory Lanez had been doing stuff. I'm not going to say banging. The guy didn't tell me this. But they went to the event. What happened was Megan Thee Stallion started getting jealous over whoever the Jenner girl was and Tory Lanez. So when that started happening, Megan Thee Stallion started arguing with the damn Jenner girl to get them thrown out on purpose. At least that's what I believe happened. She was purposely trying to get them thrown out. This is a thing that women do. I don't know if, I'm assuming all women do this, but I've seen women in the hood do this, of all races, just hood women. But I think all women would do this, and I've seen men do this also. Just so we can be clear, I've just seen people do this, get everybody thrown out because they see the person that they like spending too much time with an individual. They was in the hot tub doing all types of stuff and hanging out, or whatever. So they get thrown out. They don't all get thrown out. Just so we can be clear, Megan Thee Stallion gets thrown out. Everybody else is not thrown out, but they all came together. So they go get in the vehicle. While they're in the vehicle driving, that's when Kelsey finds out that Megan is banging Tory. She had not known this. When Kelsey finds out that Megan is banging Tory, there's an argument. Everything starts going crazy. The women start getting into it. When they start fighting, Megan is whooping her ass. Megan is really her when it comes to this. And I want to say this also. From what I hear, them women down in Houston will put paws on you. They don't do all of that talking. Like, I'll give you a great example. Up here in New York City, you're going to run into quite a few females that can fight. But a lot of the chicks that can fight, they don't talk. But they will talk while they whooping your ass. So, this is funny. This is real talk. Listen to what I'm telling you. When it's time, like, when leading up to the fight, they don't have much to say. They're like, well, screw you, B, and I'm going to do this to you and do that to you. But they're not really, it's not really. But then when the actual fighting is happening, they running their gibbers the whole time, explaining to you how they whooping your butt. So, that happens. But I'm saying, them chicks down in Houston, from what I hear, because, you know, they're eating different down there also, I guess. So they're bigger, I don't know. Anyway, so she was putting hands on Kelsey. When she started putting hands on Kelsey and Kelsey started getting mollywopped, she goes back into the vehicle and she goes and she grabs the gun. The gun she grabs is, I think, Tory's gun, no. I forget who gun it is, but it's not her gun. She runs and she grabs the gun. When she comes out, there's firing or whatever, Tory goes and grabs her and grabs the gun and then fires into the air, and that's what the dude in his crib seen. So the dude only seen Tory firing the gun into the air, just so we can be clear. So at least that's what he said but once again, we don't know if, like, there needs to be an investigation done into the investigation. I'm just being honest with you. So that's the story I heard from the bodyguard that was there. The literal bodyguard that was there said Kelsey fired all the shots. Tory was trying to stop her from killing Megan. And before anybody say, why didn't the bodyguard get involved? Bodyguard shouldn't get involved unless there's an issue with Tory. It's Tory's bodyguard. The chicks were shooting at each other. So just so we could be clear, 100% corruption in the investigation and in the prosecution.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Miss Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Miss Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense?
Fam, if you go back to the video that I made the week after the shit happened, part of my language, the week after the stuff happened, you're gonna hear the same thing. Like, this is literally this.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James.
This is literally what I told
Mr. James
happened.
informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. All of this is happening because Trump is in office. Mr. Peterson,
I need for y'all to understand
Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free.
All of this is happening because Trump is in office. I need for y'all to understand this. All of this is happening because Trump is in office. I'm going to explain this for the people that don't get it. So all of those, what do you call them? Those government those NGOs, not NGOs, those non-profit government organizations or whatever the heck they was doing. What do you think they be doing with all that money? The money that they're stealing, they don't just send it overseas, fam. Why do you think the music industry is going down? Why do you think that movies ain't selling out? They use that money to disseminate it all over social media, all over the place, for movies, television shows, everything else, in order to make sure that narratives are put out that help support whatever the hell they're talking about. So think about that right now, Every time y'all hear about some movie that was trash that did good. Think about that right now. Every time you hear about some song that's trash and did good. Every single time something sucks but it's doing great. It's selling great, but it's trash. Why is it selling so much? You ever went to a movie theater and it said it was sold out? And then when you sit down, there's like 20 people in there, but there's like 100 seats? You ever went to a movie theater, it said it was sold out, and there's like 15 people in there, and it holds like 70 people, because this has happened. They be like, we're sold out, but it's empty. So once Trump stopped the money from going to all of those organizations that quote unquote ship money overseas to, I don't know, help transgender people in Nigeria, because that's one of the things that they actually had. They closed down the clinics in Nigeria that was there specifically for transgender people. Like, how many transgenders live in Nigeria, fam? That whole area over there, as far as I know, not Nigeria specifically, but all the surrounding regions, they're like against homosexuality. How many transgenders you think you find? Oh, they're trying to bring it to Nigeria. They're trying to bring that lifestyle to that area. It doesn't exist over there. And before anybody's like, well, no, they're just trying to help transgenders, then why didn't they open one in Thailand? There's a ton of lady boys out there, right? Why didn't they open one in Thailand? I'm here, I'm listening. If it was for the fact that they really just trying to help the transgenders that currently live in Nigeria, which is crazy, because if you're the only clinics that give surgeries, how could transgenders have been there before you got there? But why not go to Thailand? Or one of them other countries that's known globally for having, that type of lifestyle currently. Why would you go somewhere where that lifestyle doesn't exist and then open up a clinic? You understand? But as soon as you say that, then they're going to change the subject and they're going to try to, yeah, but Trump. As soon as somebody does that, it's like, I know this is a waste of time talking to you about anything. Because you don't care about what's happening. You don't care who die. You don't care who get raped. You don't care what's happening. As long as we focus on negative Trump. You don't care about nothing else. You don't care if your relatives get murdered. You don't care if little babies get ran over. I know I'm being extreme, but knowing what's in the Epstein files, having a kind of understanding what hasn't been disclosed yet, my fault. I need a second. Knowing what we've already heard that's in the Epstein files, me also having a kind of understanding about what hasn't already been disclosed. And before you're like, yo, how can you have fam, I know a lot of people, yo. When I tell you the only people that don't like me is hood people, like literally the only people that have problems with me is hood people and Democrats. You know, the not all Democrats, the crazies. The regular Democrats don't really have an issue with me. They wish I saw like things like they saw things. Don't get it confused. But they're not out there trying to like ruin my life and do evil to me. You know, they're rational, sane people that just happen to be Democrats. But the lunatics, that's a whole nother story. They love going online talking about killing ICE agents. You know how crazy that is? Can I just say that? Do anybody understand how crazy that is to go online and talking about you're going to kill an ICE agent? That's almost as no, that's even crazier. That's almost as crazy as saying that somebody who works for a government organization in law enforcement isn't law enforcement. The E in ICE literally stands for enforcement. Like literally, that's what it stands for. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's what ICE is. Imagine being a person who's so mind controlled by the Democratic Party, you believe that a agency that has the word enforcement in their name, a government agency that has the word enforcement in their name, can't arrest people. I just marinate on that for one moment. Just one moment. Just marinate on that. And I got another question. This is the biggest question. If these protesters are trying to stop individuals from snatching up mothers and children, then why are they at the courthouse trying to stop people that have been committed of crimes from being deported? Why are they spending more times at courthouses trying to stop people, prevent it from? I'm about to tell you in a second. Why are they at courthouses trying to prevent people who have actually been convicted and everything else of crimes, and did prison time and everything? Because you know, even these people that did crimes and went to prison, they're also trying to prevent those guys from being deported. Like everybody. Like even if you grape somebody, if you graped and murdered, like they still don't want you deported. Just so we could be clear. So why are they at the courthouses? And why aren't they at primarily the schools, libraries, you know, places where women and children would be that would need the protection? Why aren't they these places? Why are they at the courthouses? Why are they at the ICE buildings where the people are being held at? Why are they at these places? Because ICE isn't going to schools to pick people up. So there's no reason for them to be at schools. Even though they're lying to you and telling you that ICE is going to schools and picking people up, ICE isn't going to schools. If ICE ends up at a school, it's just because, you know, that day that just happened to happen. Why aren't they going to daycares? Oh, ICE also isn't going to daycares. And they are monitoring daycares. Nick Shirley is factually proving that daycares are being monitored. And I'm from the Bronx, and I'm telling you right now, if you wanted to get if you really just wanted to get any old illegal, just any illegal, it didn't matter if they committed crimes or not, go to the daycares. But you see, they are actually trying to get the people that's committing crimes. They are actually trying to get the people that need to get out of here, the terroristic people and things and such. So therefore, where are they picking them up at? They're doing whole entire investigations, and they're picking them up in places like their homes and everywhere else. So real quick, how would they know who to go after? These people were released from the prisons in places like Venezuela. You don't think they got some of the information on names and stuff like that by now? Especially after the fact of them removing the dictator. You don't think they got names of people who to look for, pictures? You don't think they have any of these things? You know how much of a waste of money it would be to just send a government agency out into the street just to look up any old body with no idea of who they're going after? You know how much a waste of money, time, and resources that would be? I told a analogy the other day, and I'm going to say it again, and this is a real thing that used to happen to me. I'm not going to say the person that used to do it, but I'm going to say a thing that used to happen. So there was an individual that I know, and they used to always get upset at me because I knew the truth about things. So they would lie to me about something, or they would try to tell me something and mislead me, but then I would know the truth. And they would get upset at me, not just because of the lie that they were already angry at me about, and now I proved that the lie is wrong. They're still upset about the lie because they knew it was a lie when they told me. But the thing they're more upset with me about is, how did I know that they were lying? This is the Democrats. I don't know no other way to say that. This is the Democrats. %100. They get so angry when you catch them in a lie. I'm not talking about the voters. The voters aren't telling lies, they're just regurgitating them. They're not making them up. But that's what's going on. They're telling lies, and then they're angry as hell because they don't, you know the truth. And that's another reason why, shout out to the Most High, glory be to God, Jesus is King. God has been present in my life, my whole entire life. He's been active in my life, as all of us, just so we can be clear. But I've had the presence of mind to be able to recognize so often when God was actually doing things in my life, and a lot of us don't. Sometimes I have to say to somebody like, fam, that was a blessing. Like, you know, something that happened to somebody else, and I got to stop them in that moment and be like, thank God, that was a blessing. Like, that was a blessing. Like, that didn't just happen. Coincidences are not a thing. Luck is not a thing. All right? It's either something God allowed or wanted to happen, or it just never happened. Like, that's literally the only two options. There are no other options. It's something God wanted to happen, or God allowed to happen. Wanted to happen is something that he wanted to happen. Allowed to happen is you made a bad choice, and now he's going to allow you to live with your fucking decisions. Part of my language. Those are the only things that happen. Nothing else happens. Nothing outside of what God deems or that is possible happens. It's what he wants to happen and what he allows to happen. Period. So shout out to the Most High. Glory be to God. Jesus is King. Because the world just looks so much different when you could just see things that other people can't. And sometimes, and you gotta, and if anybody has this going on with them in their life, be mindful. You know, just like there's harmful people that are gonna attack you, some of these aren't attacks. Some of these are just people that just think different. You know? So don't argue, don't attack them. Just pay attention. They might be saying something that is important for you in your journey. They might be wrong about what they're talking about, but they might be on to something else. They might be giving you information that you needed. Don't just turn it away because they're saying things that you don't agree with. The information they're giving you might pertain to something completely different that don't got nothing to do with what y'all talking to. pardon, talking about. And shout out to the Most High, glory be to God, Jesus is King. That way of thinking has allowed me to be successful at so many different things in life, because I be acquiring information not knowing I'm going to need it in 2 months. Not knowing I'm going to need it next year. Not knowing I'm going to need it in 15 minutes. But the person will be talking to me and telling me something that I just don't know. And I'll be sitting there so attentive listening. What's crazy is that this is the juxtapose. This is the opposite of that creates a problem. Often people are talking to me about stuff that I already know. And that creates you get impatient, this is about the 8th or 9th time I'm listening to somebody tell me this, and I have to wait for them to finish because that's just polite. But at the same time, I want to interrupt them so bad, because I've done heard this a million damn times. I've done heard this over and over and over again, and you're wrong. And so I want to interrupt, and sometimes I do. But I got to remember, the easiest way to win an argument is to let the other person talk, especially when they do not know what they're talking about. You understand? Sometimes we're wrong, but we do know what we're talking about, but we are wrong. You understand? But sometimes people have no idea what they're talking about. The best way to win those arguments or conversations or whatever is to just let them talk. I'm going to give a real quick example. I'm playing Marvel Rivals. We have a situation where I'm a tank and the team is dying a lot and I'm solo tanking. And so I say, I need y'all to heal me. And I stop everything and I explain. The healers are dying because you aren't healing me. I can't hold the front line, so as soon as I die, they're just diving to the back line. So what we need we need the DPS to help keep the healers alive, but we need the healers to heal me because I'm putting pressure on the front line. They go into a whole argument. Everybody telling me about how I'm wrong. Not everybody, it was 2 people. I muted them. There's some other chick, because I'm not arguing with nobody. There's some other chick that I didn't mute, and now she's, I guess, with them. She's talking crazy, but she's not being disrespectful at this point, but she's like arguing their position. The end of the game comes, I get MVP, and all of this because they actually started healing me. Now hold on, this is the point. So dude said he was right, but before he said he was right, he said, you only got the MVP because of me, because I was healing you. See, I was right. No, you wasn't right. What I told you is if you heal me, we'll win. The reason why we're losing is because I'm not getting heals. You then went and healed me, and we won, proving me to be right. But since these people when a person wins, a person doesn't live in reality, though. To him, in his ego, and because for some strange reason people just can't admit being wrong, he literally tried to take my side of the argument, make it his side of the argument, and pretend I was saying something else. This is 100% what Democrats do. I'm not even talking about the vote in public. They do it also, but they only doing it because the people that they vote for do this, and they watch these people on CNN do this. They watch these people have a conversation. Somebody tell them, explain to them how they don't know what they're talking about, bring evidence and everything else, and then the person still argues and talks about their feelings. You know what? Screw feelings. I don't care about feelings. Because I care about feelings. But at the point that we're living in right now in this world, I'm not really giving a damn about anybody's feelings over facts. I can sit here all day and explain to you how demonic the things the Democrats are doing. But if I do that, then there's people that I love, that I care about, that feel like I'm attacking them. So I can't sit here all day talking about the crazinesses of the Democrats. But I can pray for my people. and pray for the ones that I don't know. I could do that. You can't be on the side of people that's eating babies. They are 100% eating babies. Now, see, the problem with that is that's something I know to be a fact. And that's something that I've known maybe 15, 20 years. So when I say that and I have a person say, oh man, they not doing that, then I can't really, it's hard for me to take you seriously. Watch when you find out that when people eat babies, they start changing. Their faces and everything start changing. And then when it comes out who actually were the people that were eating babies, y'all gonna notice that they all have certain facial features. 100, all of them, every last one of them. Some of them are politicians, some of them are actors, and yes, I know who some of them are. And I didn't need the Epstein list. And y'all love some of them. Like y'all will die for some of these people. Y'all would forfeit your life for some of these people. Y'all would. They eating babies, yo. And for anybody that still say no, they're not, the Epstein list literally proves it. And I been knew about this. What I mean by this isn't, I knew about them eating babies since the 90s. Watch when you find out why some of these actors just be up and dying. Watch. Watch when you find out how many people that were child actors ain't the same person no more. How many of them just been replaced with another child through the process and we didn't even realize it? Well, I'm going to tell you when I knew, when I first, and this is from the 80s, but this is when I first got the understanding about what was happening in Hollywood. Do y'all remember that girl from Poltergeist? Rourke? What's her name? Rourke, I think her last name is. Where's my phone? 1980s Poltergeist. Did Poltergeist come out in 1980s or 1990s? I mean 1970s. 1982 Landmark Poltergeist. What was the name of that girl? I think her name was Rourke something. Heather O'Rourke. She went by Carol Ann in the movies. Yeah, I knew they was killing babies and abusing them sexually since then. I was a child at this time, just so we could be clear. So I knew since then. So whenever I come across people that swears up and down stuff like this isn't happening, depending on where you are as far as your status is in the world, I assume whether you just don't know no better or you down with it. Because if you think watch when y'all find out about some of these kids, y'all. They're 100% eating babies, yo. 100%. and y'all voting for these people, and y'all advocating for these people, and y'all arguing with people to favor these people, and they're eating babies. Watch when you find out which politicians are eating babies that you done voted for. Watch when that happens. I wonder how many of y'all, when you realize how wrong you are y'all gonna ask God for forgiveness? I'm pretty sure most people aren't. I'm pretty sure most people are just gonna keep being delusional and acting like nobody's eating babies. They don't care how many videos is out there. They don't care how much proof. This is what I've noticed about the left. The left doesn't care about truth, and they don't care about proof. All they care about is how people feel. That's it. That's it. They don't care about nothing else. And obviously there's people on the left that care about everything. I'm saying the majority of individuals. I'm not saying in absolute. They just don't care. They eating babies, yo. I'm about to tell you something else even wilder. They turning little kids into clothing. You know what the story is behind Heather O'Rourke, right? Allegedly, they made her into freaking shoes. So when they're unaliving these babies, these kids, allegedly, they make them into shoes. So when they go to these big events, they'll have on like a purse, and it's really a kid. They'll have on something leather. It's really from the skin of a kid. They made her allegedly into shoes, man. And that's why these actors stay in line, because these actors know. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They know. Some of them just heard. But now, I'm certain they all know. Why do you think Hollywood hates Mel Gibson? Why do you think your favorite actors all of a sudden do a couple of good movies, and then all of a sudden nobody don't hear from them no more? Caviezel, that's the dude who played Jesus in, well, I would never, just so we could be clear, I would never portray Jesus in anything. I would never have an idol that is supposed to look like Jesus, because I don't believe the Bible wants us to do these things. I would never pretend to be Jesus in a play or a movie. I just wouldn't do it. I don't believe that the Bible wants us to do these things. But I'm not clear on this. I could be wrong, just so we could be clear. Because we are allowed to do anything that's for the magnification of Jesus' name, I believe. So just so we could be clear, I don't know. So I'm not saying 100% these are things that we're not supposed to do. I'm saying I don't know, so I just wouldn't do it. In any regard, his name was Jim Caviezel, right? Let me see. Why did Jim Caviezel, after doing Passion of the Christ, barely got any movies? That dude could actually act. Jim Caviezel? Passion of the Christ. He was in Sound of Freedom. Look at the movies he's doing. He's in the TV show Person of Interest. Good. He got some good work going in there. He was in The Count of Monte Cristo. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. This is the one from 2002? Wait. Yes, this is the good one. I did not know that Henry Cavill was in that one. Henry Cavill was in the 2002 Count of Monte Cristo? I just didn't recognize him. Anyway, 2002 Count of Monte Cristo. First of all, the book is absolutely spectacular. The book is better than the movie. But the movie is so good. It's so good. It is probably, arguably, one of the best revenge stories other than the Bible. survival is history. It's our history, but it's a revenge story. Remember, God said vengeance is his. Yeah, so Jim Caviezel, he did that, and then what happened? All of a sudden, he barely getting any work. Now, if you go watch The Count of Monte Cristo, you'll understand why I'm telling you. This dude was incredible. He was good. He was so good. Just so we could be clear. Great actor. But he did The Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, he did the Jesus movie, and so therefore, Hollywood said, we out of here with you. They was dogging Mel Gibson for years. How many Mel Gibson movies did we not get? Check this out. Why now, when Trump gets back in the office, do we hear that another Rush Hour movie is in the works again? And also another Lethal Weapon movie is in the works again at the same exact time. Why? Because there weren't more movies done for the same reason. Those people don't belong to that inside of the Hollywood people. They don't belong to those people. Why do you think certain actors and rappers and athletes said that they're not leaving anything to their children? You think that they're not leaving anything to their children? For what reason? I could think of two reasons why you wouldn't want to leave anything to your children. The first one is you don't want people to come and do what they did to Elon Musk. You seen what they did to Elon Musk? They turned his kid into a transgender. So now if they kill Elon Musk, his kid gets the money. They own Elon Musk's fortune. So no, I'm not giving my fortune to no individual. If I got rich like that, no, these people are not going to be in my... Nobody is going to know what is in my will. Everybody is going to believe they're getting nothing. Nobody has any interest in killing me. There's no reason for anybody to kill me. What I will do is the people around me that I care about, I'll try to work them and get them to get their own shit. I'll lend my monies to build up the people around me. But here's the second reason why they can't, why they might not be able to. They might not be able to. Do you remember when we first got on? So first started doing this morning coffee specifically, and I used to constantly tell y'all that these rappers are broke. And now we find out that these rappers really are broke. Who was the first one to tell you? Meezies. I told y'all that these rappers was broke. These rappers don't own that house that they live in. They don't own that car that they're driving. They don't own that chain that they rocking. You know who owns it? Record label owns it. That's who owns it. Because when a rapper gets a deal, they get money from the record label, and that money is a loan. That's why 50 Cent, that's another reason why a lot of these rappers hate 50 Cent. Because 50 Cent didn't get a loan when he signed his deal. He got a bonus. 50 Cent got a $1 million signing bonus. While everybody else had to take loans. So since 50 Cent, at least this is the way I heard it, since 50 Cent got the signing bonus, that means that all of the money that he was making was going to come back to him rather than him having to pay back the record label first. So these dudes is broke. Now I'm about to hit you in the head. You know, a lot of these actors are broke too, right? Yeah. A lot of these actors are broke. And what I mean by broke is they got money, but they don't have the money you think they got. You're going to go on Google and be like, yo, how much is this person worth? They're going to be like 30 million. But because of their debt, they don't really got 30 million. You get it? They don't allow for you to make money until they put you in debt. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. We've been talking way too long about a ton of different things. Tory Lanez wanted to have this conversation so y'all can know I knew what I was talking about when this all happened. I was 100% right, and I wasn't right because I just guessed it. I was right because I literally spoke to the people involved. Spoke to the people involved. That's why I was right. No other reason. I had a inkling, like, oh man, I don't think he shot the girl. But I mean, I really couldn't know that for certain. I couldn't know that for certain until I spoke to somebody. And the person I spoke to was the actual bodyguard, Tory Lanez's bodyguard, that was there. First, I spoke to a manager. I spoke to a money guy. He's not even a manager. He's a money guy. All right. So I spoke to the money guy, and the money guy put me on the phone with the manager, and then I spoke to the manager. I spoke to the bodyguard, and the bodyguard then put me on to game about everything that was happening. Bananas. So I wanted to have that video today, tell y'all, yeah, I knew what I was talking about. Once again. But I got a lot of friends in the industry. I got a lot of people who are my friends. I got people that be like, yo, you need to, those people, they tearing your name down. They talking crazy. You need to do this. You need to do that. But those things that I know y'all guys love me and y'all want me to approach a lot of this stuff in a certain way. But if I do, I'll be going against God. So, like, I made mistakes and I made slips in the past, and it is what it is. But I'm a God-fearing man, and I want to be right by the Most High. So I don't want to argue with none of these widows. I don't want to go back and forth with nobody. Remember, what Satan wants you to do is stoop down to his level. I'm blessed. I am infinitely blessed. I'm so blessed that I'm scared to think things sometimes because it might happen. I am blessed. I'm going to let y'all go. Everybody have a blessed day. Go out there. We might stream some video gaming tonight. I'm not 100% sure. If we do, it's going to be late. Probably midnight or something. I don't know. Maybe. With that being said, everybody have a blessed day. Go out in there into the world. Do something worth doing and then stamp God's name on it.